What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Club and Country. This is the fourth episode in this series, and we start today's episode off by hiring a youth scout. Yes, we pick up a £1 million scout. As you can see, he's got 3-star experience, 4-star judgment, and he comes into the club and we get him scouting his home country as soon as possible. Now, in the last episode, of course, deadline day did end with Paris FC, and we still had £1.7 million in total left over. Obviously, we need to adjust that for the wage budget, but we still had enough money regardless to pick up one new player at least, and possibly two if we were lucky. But of course, I decided to pull out negotiations for Dembele on Boscagli, and the reason I did that is because I said I had a different plan in mind, and this is it. Instead of getting those players, we are going to go ahead and hire a youth scout, go ahead and scout France, and hopefully pick up one or two decent players this season that we can bleed straight into the first team and get them for our academy. And the reason I've done that is quite simple. I'm not going to say it's going to be cheaper, but this scout will be here for the duration. 3-star experience and 4-star judgment may not be the best. We'd want 5-star and 5-star, but for me, I don't know why, but I love youth players, and I think this is probably the best time we can scout France and get youth players into the team, because youth players, when they come in, typically have a relatively low overall, and later down the line with Paris FC, we'll have better players. Obviously, hopefully, touch wood, we'll have better players, and they won't get as much game time. But if we bring them into the first team right away, even if they do have low overalls, like high 50s and low 60s, they'll still be good enough for the first team and possibly even the first 11. They'll get enough game time regardless, but in years to come, that won't be the case. They'll have to go out on loan to develop at other clubs before we can start thinking about using them straight away. So for us, the best thing to do right now is get a youth scout in, get some young players for our academy, and hopefully throw them into the first team straight away and get them developing and maximising their potential, because in years to come, it'll be harder to do that unless we pick up a really, really big gem from the youth scout. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. We hire ourselves a youth scout, and hopefully he'll pick us up some decent players that we can use right from the beginning from his first mission in France. So we take on Sochar for the first game of today's episode here, and I'm sure that's a terrible pronunciation of the French side's name, so do forgive me for that one. We take him on for the first of 3 games in today's episode here, and the first chance would fall to us, and the second chance would result in a goal for us as well, as Thiam gets his first goal for the club. He was signed from Monaco in the summer transfer window. That is his first goal for the club, and he also gets, I do believe, his first assist for the club as well, just 3 minutes after the restart as well, setting up another new signing, and a guy who I think is definitely going to be the top scorer for us this season, Thierry Ambrose, with his 5th goal of the season so far. I gave him the captain's armband right from the beginning. I don't know why, but I just feel like this guy really can lead the side despite being just 18 years old, and the number 9 does fake shot around the defender there and finesse the ball into the corner to make it 2-0 to Paris FC. So Ambrose scoring once again, really good finish there, but in the 62nd minute here, Sochar would get themselves back in the game, and it comes through a former Paris FC player. Jean Tarat, who was given to Sochar, gets them back in the game here, but this was just shambolic defending. I mean, I don't really know why he was given so much space there and no one stuck with him. It was such an easy finish for the Algerian, and the number 13 does make it 2-1. So Sochar back in the game through a former Paris FC player, scoring on his return to his old ground. But straight from kickoff here, we give the ball to Boga down the right-hand side, who just runs at Vivian, gets himself inside, easy as you like, and eventually gets taken down by the Sochar defender. And just a couple minutes after conceding that goal, we have a chance to make it 3-1 and get our 2-goal cushion back. So really poor defending from me, and then really poor defending from Sochar. I mean, that was probably the easiest penalty win I'll ever have in my entire time playing FIFA. Like, I just played the ball to Boga, ran down the right side, cut inside, he gets taken down, and there you go, spot kick to us. So penalty to Paris FC. Thierry Ambrose stands up to take it, and he scores it as well. Puts it into the top corner and makes it 3-1 to Paris FC. So 2nd goal for Ambrose, 6th goal of the season so far for a young man who really does want the golden boot this season. You can tell that already. Really, really impressive start for our new number 9. He is our record signing at £650,000. I don't know how long that record will be standing there for, but either way, really, really good finish from the penalty, and he does make it 3-1. In stoppage time, we were still leading by 2 goals here, and as we win the ball back with the goalkeeper, it's played forward towards Socriere, who flicks it on towards Thierry Ambrose, goes through 1-on-1, and this feels really, really good as well. We're just 4 episodes into the series right now, and it's number 4 for the game for Paris FC, and number 3 for the game for this man. Thierry Ambrose gets his first hat-trick already in a Paris FC shirt. and our first hat-trick for Paris FC in general, and that's really good because, scoring goals with this Paris FC side, I think we can definitely do it, but when you're using low-rated strikers, sometimes it can take you a while to get used to how they play and how they feel, when you're switching from using strikers with, real good quality and, really high-rated finishing stats, when you're dropping down to using strikers that obviously aren't going to be the best at low overalls, it's going to be quite hard, or at least I felt so from the beginning, but Thierry Ambrose already has 7 goals in the second tier of French football, and that is really impressive in my opinion. Yes, one of the goals in this game was a penalty, but either way, a first hat-trick for Thierry Ambrose. I really am liking the look of this guy already, I really am. He just seems so good. A 9.8 rating for this game. He holds the ball up quite well. He's got some decent physicals. His pace isn't too bad. His stamina's not the best. We need to train that as soon as possible, and as you'll see by the training, that's what we're working on right now with Thierry Ambrose, trying to get his stamina up and bump that stat up as soon as possible. But I really like his natural finish. It's very good. He's up to a 70 now. He's a 66 overall, 70 rating for finishing, and hopefully he'll develop not just by training but also naturally as well, because player training is great. We all love player training this year. It's a great new feature EA have added, but it still seems like the growth problems do exist on FIFA quite a lot of the time, and it's really frustrating when you've got a young talent. You expect him to grow naturally, but he doesn't develop. Hopefully Thierry Ambrose will develop this season even without training, because we will want to focus on other players as well. But right now I've got him training myself. I really do rate this guy's future, and he does get his first hat-trick for the club there and make sure we do win the game by 4-1. So a really impressive start there for Thierry Ambrose this season. We take on Le Havre for the second of 3 games in today's episode here, taking on the side I used to play for in an old My Player series way back in FIFA 12. So this is going to be some nostalgia for me taking them on here. Remember the kits already. But with Le Havre sitting in 19th place right now, and with us beating Sochaux by 4-1 in the last game, I was definitely fancying my chances coming into this one of getting the 3 points, and I'm sure this guy was fancying his chances of getting another goal to his tally already. Thierry Ambrose, who got a hat-trick against Sochaux in the last game, does make it 1-0 to Paris FC just 27 minutes in. Granger receives the ball and cuts inside from the left-hand side, beats his man and goes for goal. It is a good save initially by the Le Havre goalkeeper, but it drops down in the centre to Thierry Ambrose, who doesn't even need to take a touch. He just strokes the ball into the open goal and already has 8 goals in the French second tier already. Now I know this league isn't going to be the most strongest in terms of defensive capabilities for the opposition, but either way, Ambrose with 8 goals already is just absolutely fantastic, isn't it? But sadly for us, our lead would not last until the second half, as Le Havre got themselves back on level terms. This was pretty poor defending from me, but I will say that my goalkeeper, I think, should have done a little bit better than this. The number 10 goes for goal from just outside of the area, and the strike didn't have that much power on it. It was pretty accurate. It just went inside the near post, but either way, I think my goalkeeper should have been getting across quicker than that. He didn't, and sadly for us, Le Havre are back on level terms. But coming to this game, you would have seen the team I picked out as well. There were quite a lot of changes being made to the side as Le Havre hit the post here just after the hour mark. There were quite a lot of changes being made to the side, and the reason being is quite simple. We have a really small squad here with Paris FC, and in midweek we had a big game against the side that are currently top of the table, and this is going to be a big problem for us this season, because even though we're not playing in Europe, believe it or not, with Paris FC in the first season, we will have a lot of games to play. Obviously 20 teams in the second tier of French football. We'll have 2 cup competitions to compete in as well, in the Coupe de Ligue and the Coupe Nationale, so therefore we will need to rotate the squad as much as possible to keep everyone fit. But with a small squad, that's not going to be easy, and it does mean we're going to have to sacrifice quality from time to time as well. So this wasn't really the best of games for us. A 1-1 draw I think was probably the fair result. I thought both sides played well in patches, but really this is going to be an issue for us, because when we're managing better teams and we have better squads, it's not too big of a deal to rest players from time to time and give fringe players chances, because usually those fringe players are a decent enough quality to come in and still be good enough for you. But with Paris FC, we don't really have too many great reserve players here, and the first team's not that great on its own, so it's going to be difficult to keep on rotating the players, using players that we may not have used before. It's going to be pretty difficult for us this season to keep everyone fit, make sure we don't see anyone getting too tired and pulling hamstrings and whatnot. So it's going to be quite tough for us, this challenge with Paris FC, when you've got such a small squad to work with and not really much quality. Still, we take on Stade Lavallois. Is that how you pronounce this team's name? Had to look it up. Coming into the 3rd game of today's episode here, and as you saw by the league table as well, you should have seen by the league table, I'm not sure if it was shown or not, but either way, this side currently right now are sitting top of the table, and this is going to be a really tough challenge for us, of course, right now with Paris FC, because coming on the back of that draw against Le Havre, I didn't feel confident in that game whatsoever despite taking the lead. But in the 37th minute, we would take the lead of this game. Thierry Ambrose, who's got 8 goals this season, doesn't get a goal here, but he does get his first assist of the season. Picks out Vincent Perez, who's not related to Robert Perez, believe it or not, despite the comments I've seen, and he does make it Paris FC City 1, Stade Lavallois 0 with the first goal of the game. But sadly for us, just like in the last game against Le Havre, we thought we were going to go into the break leading the game by a goal to nil, but unfortunately we will concede on the stroke of half-time once again. So for us, we've got to make sure we do close out halves. Clearly that's going to be a problem for us this season. Really poor defending by me once again. Just getting exposed at the back, really. Defending with Paris FC after 4 clean sheets in our opening 4 games, I thought could be quite simple, but evidently not. I'm not really too confident with my boys at the back. And Allah does make it 1-1 with a simple finish in the centre, putting it past the goalkeeper and making it 1-1. Half-time I felt the game was pretty balanced, really. There weren't too many clear-cut chances for both sides, but it was level going into the break. But in the second half, we would give the ball to Boga down the right-hand side and cross the ball into the centre. Thierry Ambrose goes for the header, looking for his 9th goal in the second tier of French football already. But it's a great save from the goalkeeper, denying our captain from scoring with the header. So it's still 1-1. But on the hour mark here, a great chance for the away side to take the lead for the first time in the game, and they would do just that as well. Konate does put the away side in front for the first time on the stroke of the hour mark, and as you can see by the goalkeeper, I criticised him against Le Havre. He's had a good start to the season, but again, this is a really accurate finish and everything, but he seems to have enough time to shuffle his feet there and get across to make the save, but he gets nowhere near the ball, and Djibril Konate does make it 2-1 to the away side. So they take the lead for the first time in the game, but with 15 minutes to go, as we still trail by 2-1, we managed to avoid our first defeat of the season thanks to a great through ball by the son of Zidane and a great finish by a man with Henry's first name, Thierry Ambrose, with a really composed finish to rescue us a point after a quick little fake shot as he finesses the ball into the top corner to make it Paris FC 2, Stade Lavallois 2. It's goal number 9 for our number 9 already this season, and 7 in his last 5 games. An unbelievable start to the season for our new skipper, as he does rescue us a point against the side at the top of the table, and we do make sure that they don't extend the gap at the top, and we do get ourselves a point. So very frustrated to get a draw against Le Havre, but I'm very relieved to get a draw against Stade Lavallois. It's a 2-2 draw. 2 draws in a row may not be fantastic, but what a fantastic start for Ambrose on his own merit. Really good signing he's looking like already, and we do grab ourselves a point in a really big game at the top of the table. But that does end the episode, guys, so thank you very much for watching the video. I really hope you have enjoyed it. If you enjoyed today's episode of Club and Country, then please do leave a like, so it's much appreciated, and it really does help my channel out, and I'll see you for the next episode of Club and Country very soon.